What suggestions do you have for getting suppliers to reduce their greenhouse gas emissions?
So with the clients I've worked with that undertake supply chain greenhouse gas management, the most important part is to communicate with your suppliers. A lot of suppliers, when you start going in, asking questions, doing audits, get sort of defensive. They think that you're trying to compare them to other alternative suppliers and that you're going to cut them off. So that sort of demotivates them to actually do anything because they might lose your business anyway in their minds. So the most important thing is to communicate with them that you want to help them reduce your emissions and why you want to do this and what the benefits are, including cost savings for them, but also passing on those cost savings to you. So communication first and demonstrating the benefit to the company and not just the impact on the company.
What are some strategies to account for and offset employee commuting?
So there's a lot of regional programs, especially here in California, to try to get people out of their personal vehicles and into public transport, into carpools, and even to stop commuting by working from home or shifting your commute so that you're working on flex time and not stuck in traffic. It's really based on what sort of programs are available regionally and also the quality and availability of the alternative transportation in your area.
How would one go about getting credit for an energy reduction project?
So a company that undertakes an energy reduction project, first of all, needs to find the applicable methodology under which that project falls. So if it's an energy efficiency project, there's some methodologies available out there. If you go to ghgs.com, you can find one that my colleagues at ClimateCHECK wrote, actually. And then you would use that methodology to calculate the emissions reduction and make sure that you actually are eligible for credits. And that means that you aren't mandated by legislation to undertake that project. That's the primary criteria. Then documentation of any of the changes being made and the actual energy use reduction that occurs is very important. And then finally, you would get a third party to come in and verify. And then you would have credits that you could sell.
Okay, here's one that I actually have an answer for as well, but we'll see what you can say about it, Pablo. Reasons for undertaking greenhouse gas inventory and reducing emissions. You didn't mention competitive advantage. What have you seen in this regard among CEOs competing with each other in any particular industry?
Let's hear your answer first.
Okay. We helped a company just recently who was dealing with a chief competitor, and they had been doing really intensive marketing and advertising about how green their products were. But the company had not actually done much serious analysis. So they felt that their competitor was unfairly painting them as not green when they were really greenwashing. So we helped the company look at the entire picture of their emissions very quickly. We do that just by taking their financials and some utility information and our own proprietary system. And then they were able to go back and start to rethink how they work with their suppliers and how they handle materials. And when they were done, they were able to demonstrate and now market the fact that they knew exactly how much carbon was being associated with various products they sell, and they feature this boldly on their website and ask the customers to go out and talk to their chief competitor and ask them if they really can offer the same information. So what they were doing there was responding to this competitive and somewhat falsely competitive advantage that their competitor had, and it seems to have worked really well for them.
Good answer. I would add to that a company in a certain sector that undertakes greenhouse gas management, whereas its competitors don't, will be better positioned in the future. First of all, because they are going to find opportunities for reducing their fossil fuel dependency, which reduces not only costs but reduces their exposure to risk from future price shocks. They're also going to be a lot better positioned for future climate change legislation. A frequent saying is that you want to be ahead of the curve rather than continuously struggling to comply. So if your company is sort of breaking the mold all the time and your competitors are struggling to keep up, I would say that's quite a good competitive advantage because they're going to spend a lot of resources in catching up.
What are the best opportunities for manufacturing and distribution companies to reduce their greenhouse gas inventories?
So in terms of transportation emissions reduction, I sort of addressed that. The most important things are the weight of the goods being transported, the distance, and then the mode. So looking at those and looking at any changes that can be made to streamline that. One example I'd like to give from a past client, they had a production facility in Los Angeles and they had a warehouse in Nevada. Every day or multiple times a week, a full semi-trailer drove from their production facility all the way to this warehouse in Reno, which is a couple hundred miles away. But the problem is that about 10% or maybe even more of their customer base is in Los Angeles. But since they didn't have a distribution facility there, they had to basically turn some of those trucks around with a full load and bring those back to Los Angeles. They eventually moved that warehouse down to Los Angeles, just a few miles from their facility. They were able to run a biodiesel-powered semi from their production facility to their warehouse, and then were able to much more efficiently distribute their product to their clients.
Okay, I guess this will have to be our last one. Do you see much potential for greenhouse gas reduction savings outside of manufacturing companies? So, for instance, financial services or insurance firms, basically companies that don't have some obvious carbon production.
Yeah, so manufacturing with its extended supply chains and a lot of distribution, logistics, transportation, and whatnot is certainly a big part of the emissions that occur. But services companies have emissions as well through data centers that they might use, through office buildings, and a big one is actually business travel. A lot of companies these days, for cost-cutting measures, are switching to using webinars, teleconference systems, which have gotten a lot better over the last few years. And this is actually having quite a significant impact on reducing greenhouse gas emissions from business travel as well. A lot of business trips are very vital in terms of having that face-to-face meeting and building that relationship. But I think that paradigm is going to change as companies not only begin to look at the bottom line with more scrutiny, but also start to look at the environmental bottom line as well.
Well, everybody, that's all the time we have today. Pablo, thank you very much for sharing your expertise with us.
Thank you.